Good morning, Rabbi Sai. I don't know, there's a little bit of a knetch there. You gotta change it. You know what? Good morning, Rabbi Sai. That's better. Or you could go, okay, now, let me show you. Nishmas Mordechai. Sponsors. That's next. 25 balloons and dancing is Shmak to learn Daf. Baruch Hashem, every scene we make something for my family as well, besides the MDY scene that I go to, since they are all very excited about the Daf. By the scene, my wife surprised me and printed out the MDY Megillas Esther, professionally done, and 25 balloons saying Mazel Tov, the cover of the scene. It's very nice. Watch, you'll see in the video. Then we danced away. I still can't believe that I'm Baruch Hashem still going strong in Yevamos. The credit is yours. Simcha Shmuel Solomon since Sukkah Daf Chof Ches, like Avidazor Daf Chof Ches. So I want to show you this video, and it gives me a lot of know. I think this guy is doing it right. Why? He's involving his mishpacha. Yeah, we got video. We got audio. We need audio. Hold on. Let's go back to the audio. Make it nice and loud. Look at the balloons in the background. 25 million. Let's say Mazel Tov. Everybody. Anyway, the bottom line is, this guy is involving his mishpacha, showing them how Gishmak Torah is. The wife is involved. She got 25 balloons. I don't think they're cheap. I don't know. What do they cost? A couple dollars each? It's $100 worth of helium. So it's a nice thing. So anyway, kol hakavod to this Rabbi Solomon. And then we have here one more video.
Get over here! Get over here! Come on! Get over here! I was in Lakewood for Purim and the Baal Simcha said to me, Gertner, get over here to my Simcha, and here I am. Gewaldig, you're the best. Hatzlachah Rabba. Who is this for?
For the shear.
For the shear?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All right. We have a chassan in the house. Everybody's invited. When's the chasana? Tomorrow night. Where? So everybody say, just a quick message. Today, we're going to print on Yevamos Chelik Beis. There's a big debate whether or not we should do a push in the middle of a Masechta. It happens to be that the numbers for Yevamos are extremely strong. It's unbelievable. We were expecting a huge drop in Yevamos. In fact, there's an increase of people watching Masechtas Yevamos. So, with that being said, and we never really tried a push of a Gemara, because we started the whole Gemara campaign when the Masechtas were short, smaller Masechtas, I think. Do we have Sukkah? I don't remember anymore. But anyways, Chagiga, Tainis, Megillah, one volume. To go in the middle of a... So we're trying it out. And if anybody wants the zechus to sponsor, to be in the front page in big letters, small letters, today is the final day that you could do so. I know I haven't spoken about it. I haven't mentioned it. Today is the day. If not, Avi Kamayansi is going to sponsor the whole thing, Be'ez Hashem. And Nachman Seltzer. The koilel, we have to switch the koilel. It's about time. The guy is waiting there to do it. Shia Greenfield wants to do a month. There's another guy that wants to do a whole month. And I'm just keep on going with Mr. Anonymous because I don't know when it's over. Mr. Anonymous, hopefully today is the last day. Probably 2 weeks ago was the last day. My wife is in America, so I went to Hint. I'm looking for some dinners. I was eating cookies and chocolate yesterday and the day before. But I went to the pizza shop 2 days ago at 10 o'clock at night. That was the only thing open because I was starving. Finally, I realized, I didn't eat today. So I go there, and 2 teenage girls come over to me and go, Rebelli, yeah. And they had tears in their eyes, and they said that their mother is having a bone marrow surgery today. They asked me if we could learn refuah shlema of Nava Bas Mazel, whose father, Nava's husband, and these teenage girls' father watches the daf. I don't know who he is. I didn't ask for a name. but I saw there's a lot of tsar in their eyes, bone marrow today. You know what that is? Menachem Lebovic. Okay. So she should have a refuah shlema. Parnas Achoidish, Shauly Rosenfeld, in memory of my dear friend Yehuda Augenbaum. Parnas Achoidish by the Lock Lebovic families. Do not send me dinner, please. I like the cookies, the ice cream. By the Lock Lebovic families, Lakewood has a zechus for our families. Parnas Achoidish, Jonathan Davydov, for the Hatzlachah of the Davydov family. Parnas Achoidish, various friends and family are for shlema for Yaakov Yehuda ben Gittel. LZecher Nishmas Malka bas Avrohom HaLevi, whose yahrzeit is today by a great nephew, Peretz, Chaim, Levin. Viktor Shalom Zac. By the way, there's a guy here, I didn't chap at the time, I'm chapping now. Breskin, remember the guy Breskin from Lakewood, the guy with the black beard?
Yeah. The white shirt and the black jacket?
No, he was here, he came from America, but he came twice. He was here 2 weeks before, he came special for the Siyam. Another guy that came special for the Siyam.
Is someone feeding the dog?
I have no idea. I was wondering why he was barking all night. Yishkoya.
I was wondering why I wasn't barking at all.
LZecher Nishmas Malka bas Avrohom HaLevi, whose yahrzeit is today by a great nephew, Peretz, Chaim, Levin. Viktor Shalom Zac, refuah shlema, Liza, Leah, Mazel. I was thinking to myself, there are a lot of people out there that say, this guy is nuts. What, am I going to share with a dog? I've never seen anything like it. But I'm asking you, it's the same thing as tchelas. Same thing. If your son's Rosh Hashiva told you have to get a dog, how many people here would get a dog? 95% won't. So I'm going to get a dog. So the Rosh Hashiva could jump. To get the dog is the gvura. So true, so true. Viktor Shalom Zac, I do not like the dog. I wish I didn't have to get the dog. But the Rosh Hashiva begged me and told me 100 times I have to get it. And we sat down and he came to my house and I had to sit down in his house.
You learned with him in your life, you'd like him. Come on.
No, I learned that time he sat in my lap because he bothers me. He barks and barks and barks. It's nervayim with him. By the way, my wife is gone. There's different eitzes that we could do. When she comes back, different ideas we're throwing around. We'll put him like in a box or something, like, well, whatever, something. Viktor Shalom Zac, refuah shlema, Aliza, Leah, bat Mazel, and honestly, bat Tiferes, bat Naomi, Malka should have his zechus to have healthy children. And golden dove alert. Who's that? Fishel, baby girl, Chaya Hena, to Simcha and Margie Gross. Mazel Tov to Safta Susan, Shrek, Greer, and Fishel and Saralee. Mazel Tov, the great grandmothers, Miss Beverly Gross and Miss Razel Snow. This is the amount of words, double charge. Aliza Avi Sherman on the occasion, you get this other recognition of, and thanks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the ultimate healer, for what He's done on our behalf. May you bring your refuah shlema l'chol chayil Yisrael. And finally, by Ari Davis, we miss you, of Golders Green, London, in honor of his new grandson, Mazel Tov, born today, the son Yankee. Is that his first one? L'chayr? No, I don't know. He looks very young. Mazel Tov to Mechutara, Mayor Joseph from Manchester. Rabbi Yisai, an unbelievable daf today. Where are we? Tashma. So we're still going with this whole question. The tzara of an erva. Could you be miyabim her or not? Big nafkamina. If you cannot be miyabim her and you are miyabim her, there's isakaras, the children are mamzerim. Beis Shammai say you could be miyabim. Did they actually follow through on their own psak or not? At the end of the day, by the way, if anybody is wondering, because it's a long sugya, they follow through. So let's get here to the charts. Why not? Okay, and this. Yalla. And we had this halacha before, this Rebbe Benuri. Hey, halacha zura v'achas b'Yisrael. What could I do to make some sort of pshara here, to make this, that there's no issues, that there's no mamzerim according to this one, and there's no woman walking around that didn't even have a chalitza according to Beis Hillel. If we paskin like Beis Shammai, according to Beis Hillel, this is isakaras, the children are mamzerim, there's going to be a big disaster in Klal Yisrael. Beis Hillel say, she's a tzara of an erva. Let's say two women fall to you. One of them happens to be a daughter. Say Beis Hillel, the other one, who's not related, she's the co-wife of the daughter, goes and gets married to whoever she wants without chalitza. Havlad not Davy Sila, Havlad pogum l'divrei b'shamai. So yesterday we learned there's nothing doing, but today we're going to see there's a kal v'chaimer, and according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, all the way on Amud Beis, the vlad is pogum, meaning if she goes out without chalitza, she goes, gets married, it's Isra Lav, the problem is that the children cannot marry into kahuna. So what does he say? Everybody will agree to this. Just do chalitza and no yibum. What's the worst case scenario? So Beis will say she doesn't require chalitza. So we'll tell them, remove the shoe, spit a little bit, nothing will happen. But as long as there's no yibum. Says the Gemara, I'm thinking now, I learned this before and I thought a little bit, it didn't really, thinking now. This idea of nitr v'hasha, how many times do we have an inspiration to do something and we say, okay, we'll do it, we'll take care of it, we're going to speak it. And what happened? They had a great idea, they didn't implement it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't let it happen. You got to do it right away. I'm not saying that they procrastinated. I'm just saying for us, we maybe could learn something from here. Great idea, you just jump on it and you do it. It was too late. It never happened. I like your idea, but what about all these women that fell yibum, that were married? This is, by the way, the Gemara is going to say, Maisa Shahaya. This is not, we were saying that it happens in Iowa, this, that. No, Maisa Shahaya, that our uncle married his niece, and he had another wife, and he died without children, and it happened that this daughter fell to him liyibum. So you're telling me that the other one should go out, but what you're saying right now, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, is that Chacham and Paskin, that we require a chalitza. It's not enough just to let her go out and get married. So what happened was, you have a woman who listened to Beis Hillel before Rabbi Yochanan came along, and she got married, because Beis Hillel say she doesn't need chalitza. The co-wife, the tzara of the daughter, she went out and she got married without chalitza. And now, if we institute your psak, it's going to come out that she got married illegally, that she needed a chalitza. Because we're saying from today on, we need chalitza. And what about yesterday? You can't ignore the fact that yesterday people got married, and according to you, they required a chalitza, and there's no chalitza.
It means that those who follow Beis Shammai.
Yeah, so fine, 100% you're right, because Rashi says the kids are mamzerim. So according to Beis Shammai, that say that they could have got married and they could have had, thank you Rachamim, they could be miyabim the tzara. So it comes out, you're passing now that there's chalitza required. So in fact, you're saying that all these kids are mamzerim. I just didn't understand, like, it's more of a takana, it's more of a pshara, it looks like. But over here, I didn't see anybody talk about it. Rashi says, the mamish mamzerim. Okay, and of course we're talking about Bishamai because we're trying to prove whether or not Bishamai acted upon their psak. So if you say that they acted upon their psak and they got married, they were miyabim the tzara, and according to Beis Hillel, they are mamzerim, hainu the kamar manasa. And that's his big question. Now you created mamzerim in the world. From today on out, you have to go back. There's people that are married based upon Bishamai's psak, and you're telling me that's not a good psak. But according to you, if you hold that they didn't act upon it, then what's the big deal? There's no mamzerim out there. We're not worried. At the end of the day, they didn't act upon it. But he was concerned about the tzara that got married without chalitza. We're concerned about the Beis Hillel side, not the Beis Shammai side. What are we going to do? What happened until that point? There's no chalitza. It's either they were miyabim, or They just went out. Either they passed like Bishamai. Let's say they come from the Bishamai family, so they were miyabim. But we're going to say they weren't miyabim. Lo yasu. So what's the other tzad? Beis Hillel. Beis Hillel hold that you can just get married without chalitza. Get married without chalitza is a major problem. These tzaros that got married without chalitza, according to Bishamai, what should we do? If you tell them today, they're married for 10 years, now you tell them, you require chalitza, now their husbands are going to think that they lived be'isr for 10 years. It's not nice. In fact, there's certain halachas, I don't remember exactly what, but I just remember such halacha, that certain times there's a suffix of a tvila, and you tell the woman, be toivel again. But if she was already with her husband, then it's going to create a meal. He goes, whoa, I was there be'isr. So you say, no, in that case, you don't go again. Sometimes you have to be makbid on what the husband is going to think. And if you say, okay, too bad. We require chalitza from today on, and let's do chalitza. How many times have we seen it in this Masechta? The Torah is pleasant. The Torah is not there to create issues for you. If you look deeply, you'll see the Torah is there to help you out. There's never a situation where the Torah gets you, so to speak. You're going to ruin your whole marriage for 10 years. You're going to think that you were with a woman that required a chalitza, and you lived be'isr. Okay, so that's why he said manas. That was his question, but at the end of the day, they didn't institute it lo yispikasha. Toshma. This is an incredible line here, very hard to understand. And again, what are we trying to understand? We're trying to understand whether or not Bishamai actually followed through on their psak, the tremendous psak. They hold, you can marry the tzara. You're mechuyev to marry the tzara. There's a mitzvah sibum to marry her. And according to Beis Hillel, if you marry her, the mamzerim. So what do you do? Did they do it or not? Reb Tarfan's brother married Reb Tarfan's daughter. Comes Reb Tarfan, l'chayra. If this is how we understand what he was saying, he says, I can't wait for the day that my brother drops dead, and my own daughter becomes an almana, and I could be miyabim, I have a taiva to be miyabim, her co-wife. It's just Mikufia doesn't jive here. They're trying to talk about it. They're from Shatim here. So you have to say, the Gemara says, Ema v'asiyena. What happened was, what he's saying is, I want to show that the Beis Hillel is right. Beis Hillel, I'm going to marry the tzara without chalitza. I'm going to marry her off. I'm going to say, go ahead and marry. From the Gemara's question, you see. What? Yeah. V'asiyeno. I'm going to marry her off to somebody else without chalitza.
I thought he wanted her.
Oh. That was the Toivani Kalmar. He had a taiva to show that the Allah is like Basil, you can just marry off without chalitza. So it's not about me. I have a taiva. I want this to be done with somebody else. There was a Maisa, just we'll throw it in here. Why not? There was a Ganav, comes to the Rebbe. He says, Rebbe, it's Rosh Hashanah. I want a bracha, Hatzlachah my parnasa. So Rebbe says, well, you're a Ganav, I can't give you such a bracha. So what, that you should be matzliach to rob other people? He says, no. All those people that need to be robbed, they should be robbed through me. I have a taiva that if he dies, if something bad happens, I'm going to have the zechus of marrying her off without chalitza. It's unbelievable. It's his brother we're talking about. It's his daughter. Everybody's getting this, but he has a taiva to show that that's Allah. We have to understand. By the way, just as another thing, Reb Tarfon was the one that always used to say, akapeach is b'ni, something like that. It's not lashon, like, and his sons actually died. He used to talk very strong like that. Huh? No, but I'm saying in terms of strong lashoniness of saying things like, this person died, didn't die. Okay. Reb Tarfon. Yeah. Was it him? I don't know. I don't remember. So the Adirabah, so it's good. Here, then it's even better. Even though I'm a Talmud Visham, I want to show that love is like Basil. Givaldi. Everybody is noyeg like Basil. So what's this big taiva that he has that's different than everybody else? Says you're right. Everybody marries without chalitza. I want to show that love is not like Rebbe Menuri, that you should require a chalitza to make it a little bit of a chumrah. Basil say no chalitza, and Rebbe Menuri says yes chalitza. Forget about Bishamai. Of course, I'm not going with Bishamai. But even in Basil, maybe we should be makbid a little bit more and just require chalitza. Kamashmal, no. I'm going to marry off without chalitza, not like Rebbe Menuri. Toshma, another story where Rebbe Gamliel's daughter was married to her uncle, to Rebbe Gamliel's brother. A true story of Yibum, a daughter falling to a father Liyibum. V'Yibum Rebbe Gamliel es Sarasa. No, seriously, before I know I learned this once upon a time. I probably gave a share on this in Chicago. But I don't remember, I didn't recall. I thought it's like theoretical stories, a lot of them. But here's a story, which to us seems very weird and different. But it happened that uncle married a niece, and the uncle was married to two women. So in our days, it's not possible at all. It doesn't happen. But even he had two wives, and one of them was a tzara to his own daughter. V'yibem Reb Gamliel sarasa. Reb Gamliel paskin like Beis Hillel is miyabem the tzara. But like Bishami, sorry. V'yibem Reb Gamliel sarasa like Bishami. Thank you for paying attention. I have a shiloh for the children here. Just the children. Just if you're 13 and younger, 14. Why is it called the islandist? Raise your hand if you know. Why is it an islandist? Akiva, why is it an islandist? Okay, I just want to make sure people are paying attention. Fine. Just to throw that off. So, Rebbe Gamliel paskin like Beishamai. We have to go to this thing in a second. Okay. Great. Ask the Gemara, go, Gary, you can show the screen now. If you look at this famous chart over here, you can barely see, but here's Hillel Zaken. After that comes Reb Shimon. After that, Gamliel Zaken. Then Reb Shimon Gamliel, and then Rabbi Gamliel. 5 generations from Hillel. So how could you tell me that Reb Gamliel is a Talmud of Bishami, that it did Bishami? Doesn't make any sense. Here I thought Reb Chaim Kanievsky has the greatest zechus in the world, for sure in our generation, right? Nachamal.
Briskerov. Briskus.
Yeah, but you have here from all sides, everywhere you look, you have Rav Shtemer Michli Yehuda as Mechutanim, you have Rav Liyashiv, you have the Leshem, you have this. The Stipler. Okay, fine. Fine, Zog the Gemara. Where's yours? Gave it to him b'matana. But neither, you don't use it against me. Look at this piece, Rabbi Yisai. We're using a new piece, a new device. This is from Citron. I gotta say, I don't have to say it, but I'm saying this anyways. The promo video that sells, because he actually did, Yaakov Citron, who has unbelievable equipment, and this just became mine. He did a video for us. I don't know if you saw it, to promote the shir. So Yishkoyach, I have to say Yishkoyach to him, Yishkoyach for all you do for the shir, Yishkoyach for this piece of equipment. Because now we don't have to run this long, ugly wire through the base medrash. We could do it remotely. Did anybody notice, was there a delay on this one? It's right before. It's like a little bit, it anticipates what's coming. Okay. Says Gemara, sorry. How could you say that he's like the Talmud of Bishami's, though he married the Yevamos, Elishani, B'Tishrim Gamliel, says the Gemara. So we have to pay attention over here. The Gemara says right away, Shani, B'Tishrim Gamliel, the island of Saisa. So we have all the stories in one. We have a Bas, we have a Tzara, we have an islandess, all in one story. She's an islandess. And if she's an islandess, we learned that an islandess is not roy for Yibum, and therefore it's as if he never married her, it's a Mekachtos, and then he married her, then the co-wife is available for Yibum. Why not? Says Gemara, So in the Seifa it says that they hold, we have a new invention. The daughter of Gamliel was an islandess. Michlal, the Tanakama Savar, Lava in Saisa. So it seems like we didn't know about this answer. It's only the Acherim say that she was an islandess. So for that we have 3 tirutzim. And it's important to pay attention here because the first teretz is slightly different than the 2 other tirutzim. First teretz is, Hikirba, Veloy Hikirba, Ikebenayu. Here's a chart. Doesn't really help. Here are the 3 tirutzim. According to the first teretz, everybody agrees that she was an islandess. The Tanakam holds she's an islandess. Acherim holds she's an islandess. In the other 2 tirutzim, that's not how it's working. It's only the Acherim holds she's an islandess. And there's a different reason why the Tanakam holds what they hold. But if we hold the first teretz, she was an islandess. So what's the difference between the Tanakam and the Acherim? A big difference that we had the other day. The difference is if Hikir and Lo Hikir, did the husband know that she was an islandess? So according to the Tanakama, he didn't recognize it, and therefore what? It's a mekach tos. If it's a mekach tos, not married, and therefore it can be miyabim. According to Acherim, it doesn't matter if hikir or lo hikir. That's another tzah we had in that sugya. That even if hikir, he recognized that she is an islandess and he married her, so it's a good kiddushin. But since she's not available for yibum, she's not in the parsha, but you could marry the tzara. So according to the Tanakh, what happened was, here, let's look at this picture for a second. So we have like this. Noam is gone. Okay, great. We have a guy that married 2 women. We have Reuven, he marries 2 women. He marries Shimon's daughter, and he also marries a tzara, the Berker lady. But step 2 is that he divorced Shimon's daughter. He divorced that lady, that's why there's an X on her. Step 2 is that after he's married, he didn't like her, divorced her. So by the time step 3 happened, which is Reuven went bye-bye, he wasn't married to Shimon's daughter. Is the tzara considered a tzara or not? Right? That's the question we had the other day. What causes a tzara? Does she have to be married to Reuven at the time of Reuven's death? Or just the fact that once upon a time, co-wives, even 5 years ago, is that also a tzara? That's the machlokes here. So according to the Tanakama, since she wasn't an erva at the time of the death, she wasn't related, she wasn't a tzara, she was divorced. Shimon's daughter was divorced from Reuven at the time of Reuven's death. Therefore, you see the green line, Shimon could marry the tzara, the green line. But according to Acherim, there's no green line. It's also to marry the tzara. Why? Because they were once co-wives. Oh, so why did he marry her? Because she was an islandess. So over here, only Acherim say she was an islandess. According to the Tanakh, you don't have to come on to islandess because they weren't co-wives at the time of death. But according to Acherim, not being co-wives at the time of death is not important. As long as they were co-wives at one point of time, the tzara is asur. So why in this case was the tzara mutter? She was an islandess. See the difference, very big difference in the tirutzim. Because now according to the Acherim, she's really asur and that makes him mutter. A little different than the first teretz. And the fact that the Tanakh doesn't even hold she's an islandess. Ibaysim in another answer, what happened was that a person made a condition with this woman, said, listen, if you have any mumim, if I find out that you're meshuga, whatever it is, don't try to play games with me now. Because if I find out later, this kiddushin is a mekach, you're gone. It never was chal. Could you do something like that? We have a big machlokes. It's a gevaldik kasha. According to the Tanakh, it's a mekach tos, and she was never married. His daughter was never married. And therefore, the only one available is who? Is the tzara. Is everything okay? I don't know. According to the Tanakhamos, they were never married. Why? Because they made a t'nai. But according to the Acherim, you can't make such a t'nai. Why? Because once he's Once he's boil her, so Mela, they were completely married. So then how in the world did Reb Gamliel miyavim the tzara? It's his own daughter's co-wife. And you can't be miyavim the tzara. The answer is because his daughter was a islandess, but only according to Acherim. According to the Tanakh, you don't have to come on to that because there was a Tanai, there was Mevatel the Kiddushin to the daughter, and she's not even a tzara. She just happens to be the wife of, the tzara happens to be the wife of Reuven, which Shimon is allowed to be miyavim. Does anybody remember when the Meiser Ani switches into Meiser Sheni, or Meiser Sheni switches into Meiser Ani? What year? What? 3 and 6. So don't say I was hoping Jonathan would be here and I would ask him because he's a big moment in this chart. He said it's boring. So here you have years 1, 2, 4, and 5. You give 10% of all your produce to yourself. It's called Meiser Sheni, and you bring it to Yerushalayim. You redeem it, etc. But years 3 and 6, you give 10% to the ani. What happens on the first day of Shvat? Big question. Because when does the year change? When do you switch? When does year 2 go into year 3? Not by Rosh Hashanah that we have in Tishrei, but the Rosh Hashanah for trees, which is when? Tu B'Shvat, or Machlokes Hillel, the first day of Shvat. So there's a story where Rebbe Kiva, he picked his esrog on Rosh Chodesh Shvat. That's when I think people actually daven on the esrogim, I believe. They daven Tu B'Shvat, not on the, okay, fine. V'nag bo shnei Yisurim, and he gave Meiser Sheni and Meiser Ani. How exactly did he do it? Says Taisvis, very interesting. He didn't take 10% and 10% of his produce. He took 10%, he brings Yerushalmi. He took 10% and gave it to Meiser Sheni. Then he took that 10% and gave it to Meiser Sheni and he redeemed it on money, which you're allowed to do to bring it to Yerushalayim. And then he gave the money, and then all the fruit that he redeemed, he gave to the Aniyim. That's Meiser Ani. And the 10% that's now in money, he took that money to Yerushalayim. It cost him twice. It cost him 10% plus 10%, but he did it with only 10% of his produce rather than 20% of the produce. Okay. That it's Rosh Chodesh Shvat that you give, that it changes from year 2 to 3. And they say it's on Tu B'Shvat, so you really still Meiser Sheni, don't give Meiser Ani yet. Shema also, why did Rebbe Kiva do 2 Meisers? Obviously, they did like they paskin. Rebbe Kiva Gemara is topic lay. Of course, Rebbe Kiva goes like Basil, like we paskin. But he wasn't sure what exactly Basil said. Did they say Rosh Chodesh? Did they say Chamishas B'Shvat? Because of that suffix, he gave it twice. In Gemara Sukkah, right? The Mishnah. There was a story where Shammai's daughter-in-law gave birth to Ziva. There was another child there that was Gil Chinuch, and because he slept next to his mother, he had to open up the roof to make it a sukkah. Shmamina also, you see that Beishamai went according to their own psakim. Says what's the whole problem? That we're going to do, like, it's good to do 2 tyrus. If somebody sees a hole in the roof, nobody's ever going to think that they built a sukkah. Why is there a giant hole in the roof? Obviously, there's a hole in the bedroom because she needed more air. Okay, it's a little bit of a tchak, but it's enough to not bring a tremendous raya from that. There's a little mikvah, let's call it a kelim mikvah, that didn't have enough water, didn't have arba'im saw, and it was attached to a larger body of water. And people were very magnet and tires, they used to use that smaller mikvah, let's call it 20 saw. And there was a hole between the 2 mikvahs to make the mikvah hashaka. It touches the other mikvah and it's kosher. But Beishamai weren't happy with the hole. We learned in Chagiga the hole has to be 2 fingers and you're able to turn it easily. They didn't like that. They made it much wider. It has to be a roy. It was not an area of mikvahs. But we learned this like the opening of this bottle from the outside, 2 fingers. They could rotate easily. Why did they expand the mikvah? Because they paskin, they actually followed through on their psak. Says the Gemara Hasam Aroya, Omer la pushe ma Yehuda ka'avid. Anybody that sees it thinks, oh no, we just want more water in there. That's easier to understand than the sukkah. Sponsored by Moshe Horn in honor of Shmuley Sugar, the original sugar shaker. Sponsored in honor of Ed Ginsbursky, Brian Ginsbursky, and Ari Miller for learning the daf. Toshma. The Rebbe Lazar Bar Tzadok. Kshayisi loimet Torah. It's Rabbi Yochanan Charani. Hayisi loimet Torah. It's Rabbi Yochanan Charani. Roizi shoy oichel bas chariv melech b'shnei b'tzoros. It was people were starving. It was famine, and I saw him eating dry bread with salt. Basi v'dati yisaba, and I told my father, Omer li, hoylech lo zeisim. Go give him some olives. Voylachti lo, and I gave him olives. Roiz and shein lachim. So he saw that the olives are moist from the juice that comes out of the olives. What is that called? You could call it moil, you could call it shemen. If it's oil, and I want the oil to be there, that makes the fruit mushal kabbatoma. Today, Beis Hashem, I'm going to ask Menachem Mendel Fenster, the Belzer, because I have this. I always thought, I don't know Shas, and my chavrusa obviously knows it a lot better than me. I thought that the most popular sugya, the most mentioned idea in Shas is hechsher tuma. That was my thing. He says no, it's trumas and meiser. It's fine. He's probably right. I'm thinking about it. He's probably right. But anyway, I'm going to ask him what he thinks, because it's not a word that you can search. It's like here. It's a concept. Here's a concept that we mention again. Bushel kabbatom. In order for fruit to become tamei, and Eliakim gave me this yesterday. He thinks it's, I forgot who he thought it's from, but it's very interesting. If you want to remember what the 7 liquids are, besides the last one, I'm not so sure how it works, but Sukkos. We know Sukkos is the holiday, the yontiv of water. Nisuch hamayim. Chanukah is oil. Purim is about wine. Pesach is the dam of the carbon Pesach and Milah. Shavuos, we eat milk. Rosh Hashanah, honey. Yom Kippur, I don't know. Tal. Something, the tal of Tchis HaMeisim, I don't know what. What?
People stick their tongue out to the tal on the...
What?
The ninth of the month is Tess. Oh,
Tess, that's the day of the month?
Right, so maybe that's...
I don't know. Okay, fine. If somebody's going to have a good shot, they're going to get a couple emails. What? He got... And he brings this as a simon, and he has a pshat and tal. Okay, fine. So you can remember, what's Chanukah? Oil. Purim, wine, dvash. Okay, everything's good. And tal, you remember that was hard to understand what Yom Kippur was tal. But tal. Great. Wow, the letters between Tes and Lamed says Menachem Mateh is Yud and Chav, which stands for Yom Kippur. As you can see over there, Yom Kippur. Very good. It's very easy to remember. Givaldik. Rois and Shem Lachen. So he sees that they're moist and therefore the Mekabel Tumah. So Mekabel Tumah, what if an Amaritz touched it? Rashi says very interesting, maybe touched the outside of the earthenware, which is very hard to understand. All the Rishonim talk about it because we know Tumah and earthenware is from the inside. Omar li ein ani oichel zeisim. He saw this, he said, I don't eat olives, which the famous story of Yaakov Kamenetsky came to mind when he told somebody.
No, he said wet olives.
Where does he say? He doesn't say wet. Where do you see that? You see in your thing.
He adds wet.
Okay. But the words that he told them was Ein ani oichel zeisim, which he meant because they're wet. Okay. But Yaakov Kamenetsky, he told somebody he didn't want to eat it in their house, and he says, either the story is I don't eat gebrocks, and then from that day on, for the rest of his life, he didn't eat gebrocks, or he said, I don't eat chocolate cake, and from that day on, he didn't eat whatever, one of these stories, but because he said it, he made it a real thing. By the way, there's a inyan not to eat olives, period. People don't eat olives because the Gemara says kosher l'shikcha. So if you put olive oil is good for memory, so you put it on. So Chaim Kanievsky, zechus Levin, it's hard to say. He says that it depends. Sometimes it's not that the olive oil undoes the damage of the olives. Sometimes the damage of the olives is so great to you, and the plus, the benefit of the olive oil is not that great. It doesn't cancel each other out. It might not work, he says. And also he says that it has to be somebody that eats olives every 30 days. If you haven't eaten olives for more than 30 days, then it doesn't work, and it's kosher l'shikcha. That's what he says. So then you can never eat olives for the rest of your life. What? Harago b'zeisim. It said the lashon is harago b'zeisim. Harago means every 30 days. Fine. You should know that What happens if I have holes in the bottom of a barrel? What am I showing? I don't want the liquids. And if I don't want the liquids, in order for liquids, those 7 liquids, to make your fruit, mushal kabel tuma, it has to be a shiyutan, b'chiyutan, and it's not chiyutan. I don't want it. I want it to come out on the bottom. Big question. If I have holes on the bottom, how in the world did these olives get moist? Where's the liquid from? Oh, I made holes and they got plugged up. That's plugged. With not if you have round a bunch of crushed olives and they're moist. So what does Basil hold? You must make holes in it to show you don't want the juice that comes out of them. And they hold that if you did make holes, but whatever the leftovers, the stuff in the olives, they plug the hole, that's good enough because you showed you don't want the liquids. Even though he's a Talmud of Shammai, now, if Beis Shammai did according to their own thing, so we're telling you, even though he's a Beis Shammainik, he doesn't do like Beis Shammai. But if everybody in the world goes like Beis Hillel, my Ravuse, what are you trying to be mechadish here? And in fact, the Gemara stays with a raya that what? Asu. There's a good raya. Here we have our raya that Beis Shammai actually did what they said they were going to do, and his Talmud didn't listen in this point. Toshma, Shauly Rosenfeld. Tsaras Habas Mao. So going back to Tsaras Habas, I think it's out of order here. Tsaras Habas. Yeah? They asked, what's the halach in this case where a daughter and a co-wife fell to you? Omer le machlokes b'shamim b'sila. It's machlokes. V'alocha k'divrei mi. Is it a green line or a red line? Could you marry the tzara? What do you think? Why are you putting my head between 2 large mountains? Between a tremendous machlokes. I'm scared they're going to crush my skull. Why am I scared they're going to crush my skull? Says Rashi, incredible, because if I paskin that these kids are mamzerim, according to Beis Shammai, you marry the Yevama, and according to Beis Hillel, that's asur. So according to Beis Hillel, that marriage is illegal, and the children are mamzerim. The mamzerim are going to come and kill me. I'm saying that they're all mamzerim. He's actually fearful for his life. He's not just saying a story. Oh, I'm scared somebody's going to kill me. They're going to kill me. Who? The mamzerim. I'm going to tell you that people went like Beis Hillel without even chalitza, and they get married. They're great mishpachas Beis Tzvayim, Ben Achmai, mishpachas Beis Koifayim, Ben Koishish, 2 great families. Shem B'nei Tzaris. They got married without chalitza. And not only that, we didn't say that the begumim and the chalalim, they were able to do avodah. If Beis Shammai in fact married them, that's why he's fearful for his life from the mamzer. Who is he fearful from? Imaginary people that don't exist. They never did it. And even if Beis Shammai went according to their psak and they married these tsaras, my misyarani, why is there any fear at all? Look at this chart right over here. What we had it yesterday. We're talking about Rishua himself. And Rishua himself says that the only way you have a mamzer is the last thing on the chart. Yesterday we had Chayv Lavim, that's Rebbe Kiva. And we had Karas. He says, no, in order to be a mamzer, you have to have a Mrs. Bezin. Now he married one of the Arayis, one of the 15, that's only Karas. Most of them, yeah? All of them. Hey, mamzer v'chayv Mrs. Bezin. So according to Rishua himself, why was he fearful? They are not mamzerim. Because a mamzer only comes from, let's say, your own mother. A chayv Mrs. Bezin. Or kalasai. Okay, it's in Mishnah. Ninami the mamzer lehavi, pogim you have it. Well, I'm making them all not roy for kuhuna, and that is my problem. They're going to come kill me. Mikav v'chayim almana. Ma almana sheni sur noig bakol. Bin apagum. You have an almana who's only not allowed to marry one person in the world. A kohen gadol. Nevertheless, her son is not roy for the mizbeach. Zu shisur shavakol. This woman, this tzara, who is also to the whole world, even Yisraelim, certainly her son should be pagum. An incredible, Rabbi Yitzchak Zibashlim brings in a Levin Shabbat, an incredible Bali Taisvis, Mamish is worth it to stay here till this, just for this. Why in the world is a Kohen Gadol asur to almana? This is gonna Mamish get you good. He says, because a Kohen Gadol has the power of tefillah on Yom Kippur. When he goes into Kodesh HaKadoshim, he could daven for whatever he wants. He's in the holiest of the holy, and he could kill people. Who is he going to kill? He's going to see a woman in the street. He's going to kill her husband and try to marry her. So we don't want him to do that. So you say, you can't marry an almana, only a psula. Bali Taisa say the Rishonim. Says so first of all, you see that no one is saved from bad thoughts. Even the Kohen Gadol, on the holiest day, in the holiest place, is thinking about other things and killing people. And second of all, you see the koyach of tefillah. What a person can do.
Doesn't he die if he saw something else in the Kodesh?
No, if he's a bad guy, he dies. But if he's a tzaddik gomer and he just wants to marry somebody,
In the Kodesh Kedoshim, if you have the room.
It doesn't. Who said that?
Everyone.
Bad people die there. Not. Anyways, it was a very interesting Balei Taisvus. Asked the Gemara, we asked, what's the halacha with the tzara itself? Here. We asked, what's the halacha here? You see the chart, the tzara. And you're telling me that the offspring was able to do avoid and perform avoid in the Beis Hamikdash. I'm asking you, are you allowed to marry the tzara or not? Because of the tzaras. Says Gemara, in fact, there's two questions here. Tzaras mai. First of all, what about the co-wife? And if the halacha is, you don't even have to, she doesn't even require a chalitza, she can go marry anybody she wants. What if, you see, she married the dentist from the 5 towns, this tzara, and they had a child? What's the halacha of the child? Because there's no chalitza here. Is she zakuk to Shimon? She has to marry Shimon. Or maybe Shimon has to perform a chalitza of some sort, and since he didn't perform a chalitza, and she married the dentist, and they had a child. What's the halacha of the child? Maybe I should have put a boy there for kuna, whatever. But the point is it pogrom or not? L'may nafkimino. At the end of the day, what's the nafkimino l'maysa? Because nobody goes like Bishamay. We're all passing like Bisilo. Says Gemara l'nimishat Vlad machzgushase l'Bisilo. What about this case? We're very familiar with this case. Ruvain married the Burka lady. Then he divorced her, and the plumber married the Burka lady. Then he divorced her. And the first guy who shouldn't have been married to her marries her. He's machzor, and then they have a baby. So whatever the halacha is in the first case of the tzara, I want you to tell me what the halacha is. Is this Vlad pogrom or not? And if it's not pogrom, then I'll know over here also that it's not pogrom. Do we say that the Vlad is pogrom from a kavachomer? Or dilma ikil mivrach? Almana she atzma mischaleles. The almana herself is mischal, but a grusha, says Rashi, beautiful. A grusha who gets married, machzor grushasai, is not mischal because a grusha is already osur to kahuna, and therefore it doesn't even do anything. If you marry her, she doesn't become osur to eat truma because she's already mechuleles vaymedes. Wamelo Sarah is misyarani. They're not mamzerim, but they are considered chalalim, b'nei tzares, ani meid lachem. And I'm telling you that the kids of the tzares are not pogrom. They work in the Beis Hamikdash. Have a wonderful day.